Hey everybody, it's Jeremy. Welcome back to Pokemon Gold. This is turn 73. Let's jump into things. Alright, so we've got a bit going on. We have replaced the back and forth with Olivine with the back and forth of Pewter. So let's just get to it. We've received 10 nature gems from Atlantis. This is in exchange for the 10 air gems that we sent to them, which is being utilized for empowering and some hopeful, interesting wailing winds traps, etc. Then we've got Chuck has claimed the Throne of the Moon. Castellomlord got nothing. Dark Knowledge got nothing. Auspex got nothing. Wosen was killed in a mind hunt. Harspex got nothing. Probing got nothing. We built a rock university. I think I forgot to talk about that. We built one in our Ampharos factory. We're kicking that off. I say we're kicking that off. We're actually shifting gears a little bit, and we'll talk about that this turn. Augury. We've got... right, okay. I was looking at this, I was like, what the fuck is going on here? So let's watch this. This is actually interesting. So this is Pewter City's God come out to Kishia to counter raid. And this thing is pretty interesting. So this is a Titan of the Mineral. Pretty big rainbow spread here. Doing pretty good. Kitted out decently nicely, right? Main Gauche pairing, Eye Catcher, Dragon Helmet, Chainmail of Displacement, Boots of the Messenger, Girdle of Might, and Burning Pearl. So pretty cool. She spawns 1 Steelix, 2 Skarmories, and 3 Magnetons at her side, which is interesting. She's got Goldmaker 100, which is really nice. Yeah. She's very strong. So, what happens? Let's watch the scenario. Go on double speed. So she does Earth Power. She does Mirror Image. He does Quicken Self. He does Strength of Giants. She does Mist Form. He does Legions of Steel. She does Flight. He does Strength of Giants again. So she is now Mist Formed, Flying, Mirror Imaged, 31 Protection, 31 Defense, 27 Strength. She's decently scary. Like, this would actually be something that I would be afraid to go up against some Steelixes. That's pretty cool. Whoop. She's gonna come down and pop. Easy peasy. So she's kind of this very interesting super combatant chassis. She has her own little screening force built into her. She's nothing crazy though, is the scenario. So definitely something we can deal with, but really cool. Okay, so she takes Kishia. We found nothing in Kodakar or Dathan with our... I don't know if we've been unlucky or if this is just the way of things, but I feel like I normally find more priest sites, more holy sites, like more temple pearls or pearl temples. But we haven't really found Jack with these two priests. We're going to continue searching because there's not really a reason not to, but I just feel like we've gotten unlucky. Got some blood slaves, paltry some, but don't worry. We hit Isirian, took that, and then, whoa, what is going on here, right? Okay, so let's watch this. Okay. So this is Lugal Kerdub and Seskalu, Steelix champion. So, they are kitted out thusly. Here and here. The important things to note, the differences between them is this Ring of Regeneration, basically. Neither of them have shields. Okay, these are both weapon-wielding Steelixes. And they're going to go through their script. They are scripted together, so one's going to Weapon of Sharpness, the other is going to Legions of Steel. They will Iron Skin, and they will Temper Flash. Okay, so they're pretty fearsome opponents. Protection 35, 240 hit points, good strength, very, very good strength, right? The only issue is I've been used to fighting Olivine City. I've been used to fighting other Steelixes, okay? And now I'm not. So the real problem that comes into play here is nothing here is size 6. And it's as simple as that. So since nothing here is size 6, these weapons, these myriad attacks, they don't matter. Because we're not going to use them. Because since nothing is size 6, all these Steelixes are going to do is trample. And therein lies the problem. So these Steelixes just go into trample mode. And right now, the way they're set up with weapons of sharpness and the weapons that they actually have, even a lot of the gear they have, like boots of quickness, etc., right? It is geared towards the concept that they are going to be using their myriad attacks, right? But since they're trampling, they're not going to be using those attacks, so half of the gear that they have is worthless, right? Oh, or half of the gear it doesn't benefit what they're doing right now. It doesn't benefit their trampling. And what do you need for trampling, right? Well, you need more defensive gear. Having some shields would be a very big deal, right? Even though these guys, well, the Machamps don't, but even though these Rhydons, right, they have 25 shock resistance, something like a Scutata Volturnus would be infinitely better against them than the weapons, because the weapons are going to do nothing. The shield's going to provide some sort of mitigation to damage, and even if the shock isn't killing them, it'll kill other things. But even if the shock isn't killing them, it will provide the occasional boost of damage. And then there's other things like, they have 10 fire resistance, so we could try to go for the burning shield, whatever. We could try to go for vine shields. We could try to go for a lot of different things. But the way the Steelixes are currently kit out is just not going to be super useful. Now, if we ran into the Titan of Mineral, yeah, absolutely, that would be a different thing. But and this is something that I'm kind of had in the back of my mind, and it's partially why we're summoning a lot more other things, like a lot more things that aren't just Steelixes, and we're changing the direction of some of our gear, right? Doing a lot more like magic resist gear and shields, etc., etc. There is a way, I think, where we kit out the Steelixes to where they're still incredibly deadly against something like this. I think Seskalu could have gotten close, but not quite there. So what they're going to do is they're going to come in and they're going to start trampling. But the whole thing about trampling is very unfocused. Trampling does really well against very low health targets. The Rhydons have 50 health. The Machamps have 28 health. These Watchers have 75 health, right? So that's a big problem. Since they are not dying quickly, the tramples just get the Steelixes surrounded, and they take a bunch of chip damage. Seskalu stays up for quite a while because he has the Ring of Regeneration. Lugal is staying up just out of sheer fucking tenacity, I suppose. But we're getting closer. So like a Scutalo Volturnus here would have absolutely turned the tide because these Machamps, they'd be dead, right? The The Rhydons might not be very affected by it, but they do less damage. But the Machamps would absolutely be dead already, because they'd have gotten shocked to shit and back. And then having only the Rhydons to deal with, the Siskalu, the Steelixes would be taking significantly less damage, right? There's also the scenario of just making sure that they're targeting the right things, right? Setting them on attack rear would probably be helpful. But both these Steelixes die. That's unfortunate. It's not a huge blow. Again, we are testing out Pewter's defenses, his responses, trying to figure out what we have to do. This is interesting to know what he has for the Land Pristine, though. Knowing that he has Watchers is really interesting. Because Watchers are all about that patrol strength, right? They're summoned units for the patrol strength. So what were we? We were at Land Pristine. So we lost 2 Steelixes there. That's unfortunate. No worries. We attacked Satala, took that back from the random event. We attacked in Og Woods, and we were successful there, right? Beat some Rhyhorns, etc., etc. So this actually, I think... No, never mind. That's still a regular one. We got attacked in Muspel by a little Golem champion and a Team Rocket grunt. So let's actually watch this guy. Let's see how he's hitted. So he's got a Ice Helmet, a Fire in a Jar, Ring of Regeneration, and an Amulet of Anti-Magic. That puts his magic resistance up at 21. If we wanted to create a Mind Hunter, which we might, this would be something that we could punch through. So that's something to keep in mind. He does have one fire. So I wonder if he's actually going to try to do like a fire elemental with this Fire in a Jar. He's Earth 4. Let's see what this guy does. I actually don't know. Fire Shield. Okay. And she's Blessing. He gets this big resistance buff and a protection buff. Iron Skin. Sure. And then she's gonna run. Legions of Steel. He's up to 30. Summoning Earth Power now. To give him some reinvigoration. I honestly, like... Yeah, I get you. Emperor Flesh. I feel like if you're gonna have this long of a script, and you're really hoping on getting, like, things like Temper Flesh up and stuff like that, you might as well just, like, put Summon Earth Power towards the beginning. Because you're gonna have significantly lower fatigue by the end of things. I think Fire Shield is probably a really good one to go for first, right? Because Fire Shield is how he's gonna defeat a lot of chaff. And clearly he wanted to get that up. But after Fire Shield, probably just Earth Power and then Temper Flesh. Because Temper Flesh is probably going to be the single biggest one. And then the rest of your buffs. So like Iron Skin, Legions of Steel. What was the other one? That was it, I think. Right? Yeah, that was it. So, but you'd be at quite a bit less fatigue than you already are. Okay, so that's a pretty simple little raider. No big deal. In fact, to the point to where he's good, but he could actually, depending on the province defense type and how much of it there is, he could actually fall to province defense. It wouldn't be easy, but it would be possible. And we, ooh, how big is he? actually. He's a size 3, so never mind. Okay, next one, Plains of Memory. So, this is just him raiding his land back. This is a little black belt with a bunch of Machamps. Check him real quick. Don't really care about the Machamps. We know what they are. And this is literally just a naked black belt. Nothing doing. He's using, because I don't think you don't recruit Machamps naturally on Pewter, I don't think. You might, but I think he's using these black belts to summon Machamps, and then he's using schools to level up the Machamps, so, which is cool. We've got a force that has taken the Ore Woods from us, which is just kind of a mishmash of random units. Very cool. And we have been raided in the Obsidian Waste. Interesting. We've got another province income event in Kunal, which is cool. We're just getting multiple of these province income events. That's nice. It's really awesome. At the same time, I'm like, whew, man, I'd like just gold, please. We got nature gems. Okay, so we got 10 from Atlantis. We got another 8 here in Kratos. We got another 5 here in Viridian, and then we have our normal, I think we have 7 as income. So we actually suddenly have nature gems. Yay! We're not gonna use them this turn though, but we'll get to that in a second. We had a ruby found out in Cormark. We have started to destroy the fort in Og Woods. We're not gonna stay there. Battle afflictions cured, diseases cured. Did some patrolling. Getting diseases, and we've done some promotions. Fantastic. Okay, so what are we doing? Got a couple of things that we're doing. We'll start off in the Olivine City front. So we've got a fair amount of movement back and forth here, as you might see. We have turned the unrest in Olivine City to nothing. This is a 440 gold income province. It's gonna be a higher gold income province pretty soon, because we're gonna get someone over here to trade wins it. We might do that with a Lalia, but more likely we will do it with Irma. Irma is cloud trapezing over to Olivine City. And so once she gets there, we got trade wind up for 1 more month in Cyanwood. Next turn, because we've used a fair chunk of our air gems, next turn we are probably going to put check this real quick. Trade wind. Yeah, so it takes 10. We will have over 20. So next turn we are probably going to put trade wind up in Olivine City and in Cyanwood City for probably... We might wait a turn. We might wait a turn for each. We might do Cyanwood City first and do it for 10 turns, and then do Olivine City for 10 turns or 12 turns. We might stagger them just a little bit. But we're gonna get trade wind up in both places. We have it in Cyanwood. We're gonna get it up in Olivine. Trade wind makes a difference. It really does. It's worth the air gems. 25% gold on these coastal provinces, when they're so high, is pretty obscene. Now, it's not Viridian City high. It would be Viridian City high if Cyanwood had not got bombarded. We lost over 10,000 population in Cyanwood. Cyanwood would absolutely be right behind Viridian City, and Viridian City is making 200 or 650 gold a month. Cyanwood would be making close to 800 gold a month at this point with trade wind. It'd be pretty obscene. So that's something that's going to happen. In the meantime, we are moving forces out to Windsong Forest to get this unrest down. This is an 8,000 population province. There's no reason for us not to get the unrest down. We are moving our nurses around with this force so that we can continue to get rid of diseases and ailments. Kyogre and Latios are teleporting down to Viridian City. We are recruiting a nurse here. It's going to take a little bit of time because we only have one commander point here. We are building a wooden fort to try to get around that. Over here in Dragonscale Mountains, we are moving Chuck. This is going to cost us. He has a lot of diseases, a lot of ailments. People are going to die in the march. We're getting more here in Dragonscale Mountains. So we're moving out. We're going to get to Olivine City where we actually have supplies. It's going to take us a couple turns. And then we are going to, hopefully by then, have a small stack because we're recruiting nurses not only in Olivine City, but we're recruiting nurses in Dragonscale Mountains. We're going to send them all over to Olivine City. We're going to have a small stockpile of nurses. We're going to save as many lives as we can. Fantastic. Otherwise, we are preaching in Dragonscale Mountains, mostly because I don't want to abandon this place just yet. But it's not the greatest. I'm going to have to figure out what defensively we want to do here. One of the things that we do want to do is probably build up this fortification, because it's only a wooden fort right now. We need to build it up to the next tier, but that might take a little bit. So, what else are we doing? We are sneaking Wigglia away. We are moving Lobomater and Limerick up, because this guy has a limp, so we're just going to try to cure it before Lobomater makes it back into other territory. Simios is attacking in Obsidian Waste to take that province back. Tarbal is heading to the Lost Canyon range so that he can utilize that laboratory, probably to put on a skull cap and teleport down south to Viridian. Alalia is moving up towards Olivine City to station there as a Voice of Apsu caster, and that should be about it. That's what's happening in Olivine City. The Saffron City front is not really changing too terribly much. We're casting Future Fist over in the Great Dunes. We're moving Yazar there to claim the Throne of Fire. We are actually moving some forces out. We're moving I can never remember how to say this. Ariados, I think, is how what they're called, how that's pronounced. We're moving the Bug Boys and these Arcanines. We're heading to Kunal. We're just bringing basic forces from all over our empire towards Cyanwood City. Or towards Viridian City so that we can move in to attack Pewter. Right? We want a bunch of bodies because we don't want to just send out a little force and have, like 2 or 3 commanders and then it just gets mine burned down. We want a bunch of bodies. He's going to have to put a bunch into trying to remote it, etc., etc. So, we're still doing a whole bunch of site searching. Over in the Viridian City front, we're doing a couple of different things. This is a lot of movement. We've got a lot of stuff still moving into Viridian City. Baratheros is moving in. We're still moving Benna and Vano around in that direction. Haddad's coming in. We're working on gear, right? Haddad's going to be one of our new Steelix champions. He's going to get outfitted in different gear compared to a lot of other people. We're summoning allies with Ayla, the Queen of Storms, so this is going to get us wind elementals that we're going to sit on for a while. We're patrolling, we're training. We've got some little 5 stacks of black belts that are moving out. We're going to test those and see how they go. We have a lab here in Sermiak, and it is a potential gateway lab for us. We're not going to be utilizing it anytime soon, but we do have a bunch of trash units over in Cyanwood City that I'm thinking of putting onto crap commanders and just gatewaying into Sirmiok and then just having them come down here and get killed. Literally, that's the plan, by the way, is not to come down and cause some damage. Yeah. No, come down and get killed and get off of my income. That's 100% the concept is I don't care what they do as long as they die. So that's a potential. We're hitting a couple of different areas, right? We're recruiting some more Fire White Belts. We're recruiting more commanders because, like I said, we need a bunch of commanders for this. This is probably going to do, once we get everything ready and shifted, this is probably going to be a huge drop in our research, and we're probably going to send out a lot of mages. We'll see how it goes. So, that is pretty much Viridian City. Moving into, I guess I'm calling all of these raids Cinnabar City, because we're just moving around and hitting a bunch of different locations. I'm assuming Umrig is going to get tagged by a Mind Hunt. If he does, that's fine. He's done damage. No big deal. Urborn, if he gets tagged by a Mind Hunt, that's also okay. He's heading into Nirn. We're actually moving Nabu and Ishtaran. So Nabu does have a Scutado Volturnus. We have taken off things like Weapons of Sharpness because that just adds fatigue to them that they're not utilizing. So we're going to hit Scraw Point. We're going to see if we can't cause some annoyance there. Moving Denethia down into Farseer, moving Terith down into Plains of Memory. The whole goal here is to just get into some of these other locations a little further away from the front and to start causing problems. We want to get pretty deep into his territory before we start plugging away at things. And we actually want to get some scouts in his territory, less of them instilling uprisings probably, so that they don't get found out. But we are recruiting some scouts up here in Kunal, so we're probably going to do that for a couple turns to try to replenish the scout losses that we have had in the recent past. So nothing crazy interesting happening in the Cinnabar City front right now. We're mostly just continuing to try to be annoying and to set things up for Viridian City. Okay, in the Cyanwood City front, we have a bunch of different things going on. Over here in Hobergdorf, it was funny, this province had like over 50 unrest. We moved Burge in, and immediately all the unrest was gone. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? We haven't patrolled yet. This is so weird. And then I remembered, oh right, the Emperors do -1 unrest. The problem is we still need to patrol. So we tanked the unrest. That's great. But the thing that causes the unrest, the pig, I believe, yeah, monster boar, is still here in the Hobergdorf. So we still have to patrol it out. We're going to do that. Piraflogos is moving onwards towards Viridian City. We've got Ergen, who is actually sitting with the fever charm right now, the fever fetish. I don't know that we're gonna put it on her, but we're probably gonna put it on Hintal because she's over here just preaching. And what we'll do is she will just sit there and preach for the rest of eternity and generate 2 fire gems per month, which should be fine. Anything else? We've got someone flying out. Who's flying out? Let me see. I do not. Oh, Ilvik's flying out with more units. Right. Okay. So in Impassable Mountains, we are actually switching gears just a little bit, and we might not do this for very long, right? But we're gonna grab some Caterpies for a little bit. We're gonna grab enough Caterpies to make a little bit of probably like a 20-30 stack, right? Once Caterpies hit Butterfree stage, they're actually really good. They're even better with our Bless. And the reason why I mean, obviously they're better with Bless, but we've got shock resistance, poison resistance, cold resistance, defense skill. This bumps their defense up to a respectable amount. Magic resistance, that actually bumps their magic resistance up to a respectable amount, over 20, which is pretty good. And then larger just makes them healthier. That's already in effect, though. None of the rest of that matters. What matters is the Precision 3. This is actually a useful thing for the Butterfrees because the Butterfrees have a Psybeam and a Bug Buzz that are both ranged attacks, and with Precision 3, that's pretty high precision. And these things are decently useful. It's a weak attack, right? It does 10 damage, but it is armor negating, which is really good. And it is magic resistance negates, which would have been useless against the Steelixes, right? But it's not useless against the Machops or the Rhydons. We absolutely can hit them with this. So very cool. And the area of effect is actually a narrow beam. So this is an interesting ability. It's got pretty high ammunition. It confuses. Very cool. The Bug Buzz does a chunky amount of damage compared to the Psybeam, but it is not armor piercing, or armor negating, rather. So that's one issue. But it does do a paralyzing poison, and it does a hefty chunk of paralyzing poison. And that poison is armor negating, and it can fatigue the shit out of people. So these units are actually really good units. They're also stealthy. They have poisonous skin. Pretty interesting, right? We don't want to not have an Ampharos factory, but we're probably going to try to make Olivine City an Ampharos factory in the very, very near future, right? So not this turn or next turn, but probably in 3 or 4 turns. But the plan is to have a large Earth Mage up here be able to cast a university in Olivine City, and then we start doing our Mareep recruitment. We're gonna have a Crush Girl up here. We'll get a helmet on her. We'll get a bunch of Mareeps on her, and she will just go recruiting Mareeps and turn this into an immense Mareep factory, and I think it'll be awesome. So, which is great. But then we could easily turn this into a Caterpie factory. Or a mix and match, right? We could do Caterpies, Mareeps, etc., etc. So that's something that we're going to be looking into. Down here in Cyanwood City, what are we doing? We are recruiting more Prodigy White Belts, and that's probably going to be it for the rest of the game, continuing to recruit those every chance we get. We've got some more Battle Girl X's. We ended up getting an Earth one this turn, not super useful. And we're doing a whole bunch of forging. We will continue to do a whole bunch of forging. We're doing Main Gauche of Pairing, we're doing another Dwarven Hammer, we're doing another Scutata Volturnus, we are doing some Coral Blades, Flasks of Holy Water. So the Coral Blades are really useful, or gonna be really useful for making weak mages like our schoolgirls less vulnerable, right? 5 hit points is a death sentence for any AoE battle magic, but 13 hit points, I had to do math in my head and I'm slow this morning, 13 hit points is still potentially dead, but maybe less so, right? 13 hit points has the option of not just instantly dying to anything that happens. And when we can pump out Coral Blades at 1 water gem per turn, that's a pretty easy route for us to go. So, what else are we doing? We are forging the Crown of Despair. What is the Crown of Despair? Okay. Crown of Despair is this bad boy right here. So Crown of Despair gives fear. It gives 1 death gem per month. It gives a divine reanimation bonus and a ritual reanimation bonus. It gives Dark Vision 100, and it is cursed. It also gives a death spell range plus 1 province, or plus 25%. This is a gem, right? Gems are almost always worth investing into for uniques. This is going to pay back the cost in 10 months, which is easy peasy. Boosts our death gem income to 15, which is very cool. But it also is going to affect our deaths range. So there are a couple of different things, like manifestation, right? Will now be 5 provinces away. We've got stuff like carry on reanimation will now be 6 provinces away, right? We can do things like Stygian paths, right? And that basically turns Stygian paths, which is already pretty much the whole map, turns it into the entire map. I don't think there is... maybe. I don't think there is any province that is 22 away. And the reason why I say 22 away is because it's a globe, right? So if it's 11 away in one direction, right? Is it also 11 away in the other direction? I don't think there are very few provinces for that to be true with. So this isn't a crazy big item. This is just we can do 1 unique per turn. This is the unique that we're doing this turn. We're looking at most of the gens, looking at a couple of different items here or there. I've skipped a couple turns since we've hit Construction 8. I've skipped a couple turns on my unique building, which is dumb of me, but it's okay. Be fine. We're casting a Queen of Elemental Air. This is another risk, right? We got lucky, we got Ayla. There are 3 Queens of Elemental Air. I still have seen none of them aside from the one that I have grabbed. We're going to cast it again. We might get another Queen of Elemental Air. If we do, that is superbly lucky. If we don't, we don't. It's okay. Next turn, or shortly thereafter, we're probably going to be using the nature gems that we have to summon a fairy queen. That's going to be a very useful unit. If I had 15 nature gem income, I would probably be sitting on a lot of these nature gems, and I would be summoning many fairy queens, because they're going to be incredibly useful for us for many different reasons. Our nature income sucks. Causes me to be very sad. Alright, now I'm just belly aching about random things. What else are we doing? We've got, this is another big thing that's happening. Lamashtu is blood hunting. She is a blood 3. This is a big province. We should be getting a bunch of slaves very quickly. This is good. And because of this, we are doing 2 things. We're going to finish Alteration 9 this turn. That's huge. That's awesome. We're going to take a small dip in Evocation. We will not be finished with this next turn, but we will be finished with this the turn after. And that is going to get us a number of different things. The probably most important of which is going to be Mind Hunt. Okay, so we can set up our own Mind Hunter pretty easily. And then we are going to run Blood Magic. We're going to run Blood Magic all the way up to Blood 7 for Curse of Blood, which we can very easily cast with our Lamia Queen. So we're going to get up there. That will probably take us... Oh, goodness. So next turn we will do Alteration 9, and we'll have a little bit into Evocation. The turn after that we will do Evocation 6, and we'll probably do Blood 1, 2, and 3 by the looks of it. After that, we will probably do 4 and 5 in a single turn. And then after that, it's going to take us 2 more turns I believe, to do 6 and 7. Should be about right. And what I'm doing is I'm projecting based off of the potential growth of our research speed. So within 6 or 7 turns, we should be at blood 7 or pretty close, maybe 8 or 9 turns. So we're going to be getting into blood 7 pretty quickly. And so we've got a little bit of time to generate the blood slaves required. As long as we hit 77, it just grows from there, right? We get 77, we get Lamash 2 back to Cyanwood City, or honestly, depending on how my income is by then, we might just set up a fucking lab in Dathan so that we don't have to ferry things back and forth. And just set up a lab in Dathan and summon, and summon, and summon, and summon. And it's just going to grow and grow and grow. Now, we can only do that so long in Dathan before the population starts to plummet. But Debrithia is a potential other really good option. Hobergdorf is a potential other decent option. Produs is a potential other good option. I probably don't want to mess with Omicria. I mentioned Omicria last time. I probably don't want to mess with Omicria last time or in the future because it is one of the highest pop provinces I have that is not a cap. And that does mean a lot of income comes from it. So, Ministra, depending on how the war is going with Pewter City, could become one, etc. So, this is a big deal. Getting into blood and getting a blood economy going in the next 10 turns. This is turn 73. By turn 85, right, I expect to have a full-blown blood economy. A bunch of vampires doing a bunch of blood hunting, and then, I mean, with our research, we can very quickly break into blood 9, and we can do a bunch of different things, right? We can just start summoning demon lords. This is hopefully an option that is gonna provide us with many different pieces of utility. We'll just have to see how it goes. We've got some other situations that we're considering. One of them relies on globals, which until we do a solid chunk of damage, let's take a look at score graph. Until we do a solid chunk of damage to Pewter, this is not something that's really going to be an option. Slight uptick on provinces, slight downtick on provinces. That's fine, no big deal. This is gonna go on for ever. So, forts haven't changed. Income, we have just boosted past, and that is because of Olivine City. And we're like I said, we're gonna trade wind. We're gonna do a whole bunch there. That's probably gonna continue to grow. We're gonna continue with our Ampharos factories. Pewter City, by the way, is creating Ampharoses now. They have been creating Ampharoses, but even if they had not been, the information is now out there to the whole game. Everyone now knows about the Ampharoses. So it is what it is. Gym income, yeah, things are bleak there. The hope is to eventually do enough economic damage to cause this to slowly decrease, but let's see. Research, he's still slowly closing the gap. Dominion, we're starting to climb, and that's probably going to continue to climb pretty aggressively over the next couple turns as our Dominion spreads into Olivine City's lands. Army size, he's climbing, we're climbing. Ascension points, we're climbing. Very big turns. A lot of stuff going on. Yeah. I can just talk and talk and talk about this game. This game is I I've played so much of this. So interesting. But that's going to be it for this turn. I will see you all next time. Bye, everybody.